Classical Greece frequently asked questions. How did Athens rise to power in the 5th century BCE? It's 431 BCE. The first Hellenic League, formed under the Greek allied states during the height of the Persian Wars, has now collapsed, and the race is on for a city-state to emerge as the victorious. Athens, a previously minute and unexceptional polis, emerges from the Persian Wars with numerous victories to its name, after the sizable defeats of the Persians in historic battles at Salamis and Marathon, as well as countless other minor conflicts with the invaders. The battle at Marathon makes Athens' military might noteworthy, and the Spartans over in Laconia have themselves a potential threat in Attica and all throughout northeastern mainland Greece. Contrarily, the strategic sea victory of the Athenians at the Isle of Salamis and the Saronic Gulf intersecting Attica and the rest of mainland Greece solidifies Athens' position as a naval powerhouse in the known ancient world. Cited as one of the most vital military victories in human history, this decisive win would ensure Athens' continued prominence as Greece's largest navy until at least the turn of the 6th century. Salamis also grants Athens an unpredicted advantage over the trade routes in the Aegean and Mediterranean. Now recognized as a foreboding naval force, Athens rises to the podium of the largest mercantile superpower of its time, becoming a seat of commerce and international cross-civilization trade. Around about the same time, over in Sparta, Porzanius the regent, the hero of the Battle of Plataea and the nephew of the Aegean king of Sparta and fabled Spartan warrior Leonidas, is found guilty of treason against the crown during his stay at the Byzantium. Accused of disloyalty and sympathizing the enemy, the Persians, due to his choice of clothing, after being supposedly exiled, he is recalled to Sparta where, in a sudden turn of events, Athens withdraws from the First Hellenic League and forms the soon-to-be Delion. But more on that soon. After being found guilty by the assembly, Porzanius retreats to a nearby temple where he is holed up by Spartiates from the outside and starved to death. His death marks a period of political instability during the proto-conflicts predating the Peloponnesian War and is responsible for a decline in faithfulness of Spartans to their kingdom. It is also linked to the disconnectedness of many Spartan generals during the Peloponnesian War. Alright, my apologies, that's a lot to squeeze in a 2-minute time frame. So, let me recap. What have we discussed thus far? We've talked about Athens' military victories at Salamis and Marathon, which established the polis as a military power, Sparta's increasingly fragile government, which is responsible for its inconsistencies and readiness to engage war with Athens, and Athens' withdrawal from the allied Greek states and its imminent creation of the Delion League. Now all that's left is Athens' democracy and the Delion League itself. Let's get back into it. So at the fall of the Persian Wars, Athens begins to undergo rapid political and social transformation. Ditching the archaic governance system of a centered or duo or tri-party monarchy, Athens, primarily under Pericles, dubbed the first citizen of Athens by historian Thucydides, adopts the world's first democracy. This new form of government is raw, unfiltered, and ignorant, but it gives birth to Athens' great, yet short-lived, golden age. Soon, Athens' democratic views will become a threat to a Sparta which had lost most of its influence over the Greek realm. This, in time, would spur Sparta's enrollment in the conflicts that would concrete the Peloponnesian War. You see, Sparta's iron fist over the Greek world had one prerequisite. It needed oligarchies, or puppet states, established after successful conquests as actualizers for the greater Spartan regime. And this, as you may have guessed, was starkly challenged by Athens' adoption, or more accurately, creation, of democracy. Combined with Athens' sudden rise to militaristic and economic prominence, the city-state became a worrying contender for the title of Greece's domineering force, a title which had been affixed to Sparta since as long as the dying light of the Mycenaean/Dorian Spartan civilization. And with Athens' growing boisterous nature and its steaming confidence in itself, which borders on the excessive, Sparta's fears were confirmed as anything except futile. As illuminated by Thucydides in his History of the Peloponnesian War, in Pericles' funerary oration, Athens' cockiness was on the nose. Pericles' oration, very much a propaganda piece designed to encourage funding for the Delion League, but more on that later, odes Athens' superiority to its adversaries. Yes, just Sparta. Pericles, a spirit of reverence pervades our public acts. We are prevented from doing wrong by respect for the authorities and for the laws. And Pericles again. Then again, our military training is in many respects superior to that of our adversaries. Here is the proof. The Lacedaemonians come into the Athenian territory not by themselves, but with their whole confederacy following. We go alone in a neighbor's country, and although our opponents are fighting for their homes and we are on foreign soil, we have seldom any difficulty in overcoming them. So, Athens' democracy meant the refurbishment of its whole society, but also the birth of an untimely ego. an ego which, for better or for worse, would cause the ancient world's Cold War, the Peloponnesian War. The Delion League, formed by Athens circa 478 BCE, the confederacy was the Athenian replication of the Hellenic League. Trusting to do the very same as its Spartan-endorsed counterpart, this league started off as a genuine alliance against a potential Persian re-emergence. This, however, would only be true for so long. After power goes to Athens' head, the League manifests the egotism of Athens' megalomaniac leaders, demanding war funds from its sworn Delian allies in the form of tribute, which came at an astronomical prices. Delian member states were even initially forced into oath by a symbolic act of drowning a particular clump of metals or drachma, salvage which would never be returned. In the growing months and years of the League's founding, it would gradually deteriorate from alliance, eventually morphing into an oppressive system whereby all gains were redirected to Athens. This map on screen displays Athens' sudden grip over the Aegean thanks to the League. Stretched out across the coastal Pauli and most of the Attica frontier, Athens' power extended across Euboea and right into western Anatolia, dangerously close to the Persian Empire. As Athens amounted a considerable navy too, the Delion would rack in a serious fare of funding. Alongside triremes gifted onto Athens by Delian subjects like the petrified islands of Lesbos and Chios, much of the contested Cyclades and southern Sporades, Athens would stash a sizable amounts of funds in the Delos treasury, pictured here. This treasury would be Athens' personal piggy bank, as Pericles embarked on an odyssey to revitalize Athens. Such funds were largely squandered on the construction of the Athenian Acropolis, the Parthenon, and all. All the while, though, Athens would amass power and wealth never before seen in Greek history. This is known as the Golden Age of Athens, but soon it would all come crashing down. But that's a discussion for another time. Thank you for listening to this short introduction to Athens' rise to power during the 5th century BCE, and I hope you'll join me on my next video, which is of a undetermined nature and content. Thank you.